Hello guys, welcome to the video. Today we are doing a HSC Mathematics Advanced test that is on trigonometry and statistics. So before you watch the video, make sure you've actually given the test a go. It's in the description below, and once you've done that, come back for some work solutions. So let's get started. Question number 1 here, how many solutions of the equation sine x and in bracket cosine x plus 1 equals 0 lie between here? So the quickest way to do this is, well, sine x could be 0. Sine x, of course, looks like that. So it will have 3 solutions at 0, pi, and 2 pi. And cos x plus 1 equals 0. So where is cos x equal to -1? And cos x looks like that. And so it is -1 here at pi, which means we've actually, looks like we've got 4, but we've actually only got 3 because pi we've already got in sine. So correct answer is C. Question number 2 is, what is the period of the function f of x equals tan x over 2? So we remember that our period of a normal tan graph is pi, but we need to divide by b. And in this example, b is 1/2. So pi divided by 1/2 is 2 pi. So correct answer to this one is D. Okay, question 3, we have this diagram and we want to write what the function is. We know that the principal axis is 2, so we get that from here. And we can see that we've actually got a change in our amplitude and our period. So the amplitude here is 3. We don't have a horizontal shift, but notice it's starting down here. So that's going to be a negative A value. So I can get rid of C and D straight away. And let's think about our period. Well, I can see 1 cycle, and I can actually see 2 cycles from 2 pi. So the correct answer here is B, because the period of this cosine is pi. Okay, question number 4. A survey asked respondents to list their favourite subject at school, and this is, what type of data do we have? Is it nominal, ordinal, discrete, or continuous? Well, hopefully you realise I can cross those 2 out because your favourite subject will be a response like mathematics, right, which is a category. Now, can you put your subjects in order? Well, obviously maths is number 1, but we can't really put them in order. Something like maybe the clothing size that you wear, so small, medium, large, there's an obvious order to that, so that would be ordinal, but your favourite subject is not, it is nominal. So correct answer is A. Okay, let's have a think about question 5 here. The Singapore government records the yearly income data of everyone working on the island, and they find the data to be positively skewed. Now, the whole idea of why am I saying every single person in Singapore is because we're going to have millions and millions of people and all their data. So our data is really going to look something like this. Now, our mode is here. And remember, we did look into what is affected by outliers and what is not, or what is affected by skewed data, and the mean is way more affected. So the mode will be here, the median will be affected slightly, and our mean will be even further up, somewhere up here. So the correct answer that we want here is C. Okay, last question that we have today for multiple choice is, the coefficient of determination is between the variables x and y is 0.81, which of the following statements are false? So if our r squared, because that is our coefficient of determination, is 0.81, then our r is either positive or negative 0.9. Now that's useful because that means that there is a strong correlation, because 0.9 is strong, and that is also C. So it's between B and D. B is 81% of the change in y is explained by x, and that is exactly what the coefficient of determination does. So that one is also true. And let's just talk about D for a second. So D is the correct answer. So an increase in x will result in an 81% increase in y. That is more your A value when you find your linear regression. That's the value that's going to talk about how much y changes with respect to a change in x. So D is the correct answer here, guys. That is the false one. Okay, question 7 is our trigonometry question. So part A is solve 4 sine x minus 3 equals 0. So 4 sine x equals 3 and sine x equals 3 over 4. we don't know the exact value of this, so we're going to need to use our calculator, and when we do, we definitely want it to be in degrees mode, so always be careful of that. And so I find my base angle as 48.59 degrees, and here I want, this is positive, so I want positive 3/4. So the first quadrant is going to give me a correct answer, and also the second quadrant, which will be 180 minus that, so that's 131.41. So 2 solutions there. Okay, question 7 part B. So this one's a lot more complex. We've got solve 3 tan squared bracket 2 bracket x plus pi on 6, and then closing your brackets minus 1 equals 0. Going from 0 to pi. Okay, so we want to do 3 tan squared 2 x plus pi on 6 equals 1, and then divide by 3, and then I take the square root. Now when I take a square root, I must remember that it's the plus or minus. So it's plus or minus, square root of 1 is 1, square root of 3 is root 3. Now this is great because I do remember my exact values here. I know that tan is 1 on plus or minus 1 on root 3, and the base angle there is pi on 6. Now what I need to remember here is what I'm going to be doing is going to be dividing everything by 2, and then I'm going to be shifting everything pi on 6 minus pi on 6. So I already know the answers, but you want to make sure that you've got too many and then cancel out the ones that don't fit. So it's 2x plus pi on 6. So pi on 6 is actually not a solution. What we want is 5 pi on 12. No, sorry. We want 5 pi on 6, which is the second quadrant. 7 pi on 6 is the third quadrant. 11 pi on 6 is the fourth quadrant. And we actually want 13 pi on 6, which is going to be after 1 full cycle. But when I divide by 2, they all become on 12. And it still looks like that last one doesn't fit. But when I subtract pi on 6, obviously pi on 6 is 2 pi on 12, so that will be 11 pi on 12. So final solutions are 3 pi on 4, 3 pi on 12, which is pi on 4, 5 pi on 12, 9 pi on 12, which is 3 pi on 4, and 11 pi on 12. So 4 solutions to that one. Okay, 7c here is sketch the curve y equals 1 plus 2 cosine 2x. So let's start by drawing our axes. It's going to be our x and our y. The principal axis here will be 1, which we get from here. So that is y equals 1. Our amplitude here is 2. That's going to be our amplitude. And our period will be 2 pi over 2, which is pi. So I like to, I'm sketching from 0 to 2 pi. So pi is my period, and I like to split my period into quarters. Okay, and I'm going to be going up to 3 and down to -1, and it's cosine, so it starts up. So it's going to look like this. Starts here to the middle, down to the middle, up to the middle, down to the middle, and up, and then join those up as well as you can with a sine wave or cosine wave, and it should look like that. Okay, part D here is the population of mosquitoes in Singapore is given by, and we have this function here, pt equals 5 minus sine pi t on 6, where t is in months. Find the peak population of mosquitoes during a year. So during a year, well, this function has the principal axis is shifted up to 5, and the amplitude is 1. So it would go up to 6 and down to 4. So the peak will be 6 million. Find the times during the year that the first 12 months when the population is less than 4.5. So PT is equal to 4.5. Let's find those solutions. So 4.5 equals 5 minus sine pi t on 6. Subtract 5, so I get negative a half. And they're both negative, so I can ignore that. So pi t on 6, so that has become positive, is going to be inverse sine of 1/2, which I know that exact value, I know that base angle. It is pi on 6. So when is sine positive 1/2? That's the first quadrant. And the second quadrant, which is pi minus pi on 6, that's 5 pi on 6. And I need to divide everything by pi on 6, which gives me a nice 1 and 5. So correct answer here, think back up to this diagram. There's 4.5. So I want this bit here. So that is between 1 and 5. Okay, last one is sketch. I've done a very rough sketch, so let's just do a little bit nicer. There's your t, here's your p of t. Principal axis is up here at 5, and my period will be 12. You can do that for yourself. It's 2 pi over pi on 6. So this is 12, 6. I like to split it into quarters. And so it's also got a negative, so it's going to go down, back up to the principal axis, up to the peak, and down at 12. So it'll look like that. Question 8 is our descriptive statistics question. So let's start with number A. So the number of movies watched over the last year from students is given in our table here. Draw a stem and leaf diagram. So stem and leaf, I'll label, here's our stem and here's our leaf. And we've only got 2 digits, so it's quite an easy one. Just going to be, the first digit will be our stem and the second digit will be our leaf. So we want to go 0, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to need one more. This will be 4. Now remember, with the leaves, you want them to kind of line up. Now I would also go through systematically and cross them off as I go to make sure you don't miss any, but I'm going to cheat a little bit, and this is the answer. And this would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want them in order. 9, 1, 2, 7, 8, 5. Okay, so see here, these all kind of line up there, and you want to make sure you do that. Alrighty, so part B, or part 2 of this one, is find the mean, median, and mode. So I have 21 data here. So the median will be the halfway point, which is here. So 22. So median is 22. Mode is the one that occurs the most. So the only one that occurs twice is 17, which is you can see here. And the last one is the mean, which is adding them all up and divide by how many you have, which we have 21. When you add them all up, it is 452. So our mean is 21.5238. And round that maybe to 2 decimal places. 21.52. Find the range in the interquartile range. Just make a bit of room here. So I'm going to get rid of the median, mode, and mean. Okay, so our range is just the biggest minus the smallest, so 45 minus 7, so 38. Interquartile range, you need your Q1 and Q3. Now, the median here is the 11th number because you have 21. So that means you've got two sets of 10. Now, in between 10 will be, the median between 10 numbers will be between the 5th and the 6th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here will be your Q1. So in between 11 and 12, so that's 11.5. That's your Q1 and your Q3, 1. Let's have a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's in between 29 and 30. So halfway between 29 and 30 is just 30. So that's 18.5. Question 8a involves our Pareto chart. So we have a group of students surveyed about their favourite streaming service, and we have the data here. Now, the one thing that we must be mindful of is we need to have our frequency in descending order. So this is Disney. Easiest thing to do here is switch Disney Plus and Hulu. So that'll be 11 and that'll be 6. And then the other thing we need is the percentages. Now the sum here is 50, so we just need to double each one to get the percentage. So 46, add 22% is 68, add 20% is 88, and then add 12% gets you 100, obviously. And then remember our Pareto chart, we have our percentage on the right, we have our frequency on the left, and it's categorical data, so really we should have a gap between each one there. Okay, so that is it for the Pareto chart. Okay, 8c involves finding the standard deviation and variance for a set of data. Really, there's no other way around this, or we have a way of doing it by hand, but not when we're in an exam situation. So this one, 100% calculator. It's a population that we're concerned about, so sigma, and you should get 13.35, and then we square this value to get our variance, which is 178.24. So you need to know how to input data on your calculator, and that's really the only way we can do this one in an exam situation. Okay, last part of question 8 is part D, and we have this cumulative frequency table that we're asked to complete. That should be pretty easy. We're just adding up the frequencies as we go. So start with the first one's 2, 2 plus 8 is 10, 10 plus 14 is 24, 24 plus 10 is 34, and then plus 6 is 40. Estimate the mean. So for this, because we have grouped data, we need to find our midpoints there. So halfway between 0 and 5 is 2.5, 7.5, 12.5, 17.5, and 22.5. Okay, so our estimate is 25 times 2, 2.5, sorry, times 2, 7.5 times 8, plus 12.5 times 14, plus 17.5 times 10, plus 22.5 times 6, and then divide by your total frequency, which we know is 40, and we should get 13.75. Okay, so once we've done all that, then we need to draw the cumulative frequency polygon, or the ogive, and this one here we can put in our scale. So we can go from 0, 5, 10, 15, 20 to 25, and then 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Okay, so first one is 2. This is cumulative frequency, so 2, 10, 24, 34, and 40. And then you really want to make sure you've got a ruler. I'm just trying my best here, but you guys will make sure you've got a ruler. There's my cumulative frequency graph. And if I want to estimate the mean, well, that is at 20. Half of 40 is 20. Go to here, go down, estimate what that value is, which I think is about 13.5. So anywhere around there would be a decent estimate. Okay, last question, number 9 here, and we have our bivariate data analysis. So the following table shows the scores that you got in the last Mathematics Advanced test and the average daily time on social media. And so we've only got a few data points. We've got 5. This data can be modeled with a regression line. Write down the values of A and B. Very similar to that one where we found standard deviation and variance. You need to know how to input this data in your own calculator to get these values. Really no other way. So when I do that, I got negative 9.76 and B is 103.24. You really need to be mindful, this is Y and this is X, okay? So when you import those, make sure they're in the right order. Explain what A means. Well, A is negative 9.76. So my explanation I'd write in words is every time X increases, which is an hour on social media, my model predicts that you will have a decrease because it's negative, decrease of 9.76 marks. And that's the response we want for that one. Okay, part 3 of this question is drawing the scatter plot and the regression line. So you could scale any way that you like. I've done my scale like this. This is the test score, and this is the social media. Okay, and just make sure you plot all those points. Really, I'm kind of skipping ahead here, so I should go like that, and same here. But you could have gone from 0. Anyway, I wanted mine to look nice and big, and then for the regression line, I found the value when at 1, which was about 93.4, and I found the value at 4, which was 63 something, and they were the two lines I lined up to get my regression line nice and straight through there. Okay, so make sure you use a ruler, and that was it for that question. Last part of question 9 is write down the correlation coefficient and describe the correlation between marks and time on social media. Another one that we just need to use our calculator. You need to know how to input your data. So it's negative 0.9819, and of course there's when we describe this, two things that we want to say. We want to say it's negative, and we want to comment on the strength, and this one is strong. It's very strong. Okay, for the last part, use your linear model to estimate if someone has spent 5 hours on social media. So y equals negative 9.76 times 5 plus 103.24, and I got an answer of 54.406. Okay, so approximately 54. Now, is this estimate reliable, and give a reason? And I think we just have to say that it's not reliable. And the reason for that is even though our correlation was very strong, we are extrapolating. We are outside our data that we've input there. Our data went from, let me just double check, 1.3 to 3.7, and we're picking a value of 5. So 5 is extrapolating, so it's not going to be a very reliable estimate. Okay, and that's it for that question. So I hope you did well on this test, and I'll see you in the next video.